from Nunes.
Oh!
Tracked down by Pena.
Look at this!
And now Pena to the back.
Oh, Julianna's got her down and she's got a choker. She's got a choker. She's got a choker. She's got a choker.
She's it. Julianna Pena.
Like I said, it's very fabulous.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC 277, Amanda Nunes versus Julianna Pena. We're going to talk two plays, of course, where we talk about the main event, and I am excited about this one here. This is actually a great card. I know a lot of people kind of say, hey, they're not that excited about the rematch. I think there was a lot of implications in this. If Amanda Nunes loses, what happens to her legacy? Now you got Julianna Pena beating her twice. Where does Nunes go? Does she go to the other division where she's a champion? So a lot of things kind of going on. I am excited about it. We're going to be breaking all of that down, a deep dive into the main event. But we're coming off a losing night last weekend. This is the first time in 2022 we have had back-to-back losing weekends. So we've had a great year so far, up over 80 units. But I hate losing. I fucking hate losing. Trust me, I hate it. I don't like losing one wager in a night. Forget about having a losing night there. We lost a couple units, not too big of a deal. We are back this weekend, and like I always say, whether we win or lose, we gotta go to the next event, and I am excited about this one here. So we're gonna be breaking it all down for you today, and let's get into it. We're gonna first talk Amanda Nunes versus Julianna Pena. Right now, we've got the line, depending where you're shopping it, you got Amanda Nunes roughly around minus 300, and the comeback here on Julianna Pena is plus 220. So like we always do here, we're going to talk about 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So the first person we talk about here is Amanda Nunes, and 3 fights ago, she fought Felicia Spencer. This one, not really going to break this one down here. Felicia Spencer's tough, and she's the kind of girl that can take a brick to the face and keep going forward. She's a tough fighter, but this was just too much too soon. Felicia was just way overmatched in all categories, in all areas. She wasn't able to kind of utilize the, kind of get inside, grind on her a little bit. The striking's not there for Felicia Spencer. Nunes picked her apart. I kind of feel like they were very buddy a lot. Leading up to the fight, even during the fight. So I really feel like Nunes just didn't step on the gas, look for the big finish. I think a lot of times she kind of, although again, Felicia Spencer took some big shots, but I just thought Nunes never really stepped on the gas, put a stamp on the victory there. But she goes out there, she wins every round. I think there was one in there, it was a 10-8 round, but she dominates, destroys Felicia Spencer throughout the fight. Amanda Nunes gets the victory there. 2 fights ago, she fought Megan Anderson, Megan, whatever it is. And this was one here where, Megan was starting to say, hey, I've got power. She was kind of doing a little bit of talking. And boy, when she came into this fight, she looked like a ghost walking into an execution of some sort. I mean, she just looked not like she was ready to fight, but she goes into this fight here, and I gotta say though, early on, she did move forward. She did move forward on Amanda Nunes, tried to kind of dictate the pace a little bit, but it didn't take long. I mean, Nunes landed one clean shot, rocked Anderson. Anderson kind of walled a little bit, got down to the ground. Once Nunes got on top of her, she was landing hard ground and pound, probably should have ended the fight there, but Nunes ends up latching on a choke, getting the submission victory in round 1. So there you have it there. Not too much to break down on those first 2. Now the next fight for Nunes is Julianna Pena, but we're first going to talk about 2 fights for Julianna Pena. On the other side here, we've got Julianna Pena plus 225. And 3 fights ago, she fought Germaine de Randamie. This is the type of fight where you would definitely think that Pena would have a lot of grappling advantages, looking to take it to the ground, outworking her, pushing forward a lot, and it was a little bit different here. Now, early on in this fight here, de Randamie she is long and lanky and utilizing a lot of movement. She was able to move around the cage very agilely, able to kind of work her ankles, using her big shots. And early in that first round, Pena went for a takedown, and a great perfectly timed counter by de Randamie drops Pena. And then even from there, she got back up. I gotta say, that first round, pretty much was all Durandamy. Landing big shots, keeping distance, which was very key in this spot here. Even in spots where Pena kind of had her up against the fence, Durandamy kind of was able to work to space, land some big shots. It was, the striking of Pena is not very good. And of course, Durandamy is the elite level kickboxer, but it just, you know, she's wildly throwing and just looking to cut distance. That's pretty much what Pena, for the most part, uses her striking. Cut distance, get in tight, try to just get in close to take a shot, get her hands on it, look for those takedowns. Late in the round, she did get a takedown. I think it was with like a second left in the round. Pena ended up latching on Durandamy. She ended up getting the takedown. Into that second round, though, this is really when Pena bull rushed forward. She knew she had to get these takedowns. She knew she had to push forward. She knew she had to get on, you know, really get a hold of Durandamy. Because again, Durandamy, with the way that she moves and her striking, you cannot stay at range with her, especially someone like Julianna Pena. She went for the takedown. The one thing that she did do here, which I thought was very smart of Pena, was she did not let go. I mean, she had she latched on, pushed her up against the fence, and she literally was working and not giving up until she got that takedown. She ended up getting the takedown on Durandamy, got that takedown, but even in that situation, you did see that Durandamy was able to reverse a position for a little bit in there, you know, start to work from top position, but Julianna did, you know, end up kind of maneuvering, getting a better position. I did think that she got that second round, but going into the third round, this was another spot where, you know, Pena looking to push forward. She's really looking to, again, implement that same game plan and not have space between her and Durandamy. She goes for the takedown. She's latching on, kind of grinding it out up against the fence, but Durandamy, who is a kickboxer, latches in a choke, gets the choke, gets her down, puts Pena to sleep in the third round there. I gotta say, it's not that great of a look for Pena, but she does go out there. She does defeat Pena in that third round via submission. And then 2 fights ago, she fought Sarah McMahon. This is one here where Sarah McMahon's going to welcome the ground game. She's a wrestler, has limited striking. This is really where it's a pretty good matchup for Pena, and kind of seeing how she's going to utilize the wrestling, the strength, all of that against Pena. And this is one here where the first round, it was pretty much all Sarah McMahon controlling position, getting the takedowns, working to back control, you know, landing some good shots, even standing. I mean, even the fact that Sarah was landing shots on Pena standing, and and Sarah has very limited striking. Pretty much a basic 1-2 is what she throws, and she was able to land some good shots in that second round. I gotta say, it was pretty close. I mean, you know, I would say going into that third round, it was either 2-0 Sarah McMahon or 1-1, but still very close. But going into that third round, I gotta say, Pena, she dug deep there. She pushed forward, and that's something that, you know, we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a second when we talk about the Amanda Nunes fight and Pena. But she can dig deep, and I gotta give the credit to Pena there. I mean, she can dig deep. She pushes forward. She will take shots. That's really when she starts to almost get pissed off, is where she has a lot of success. And this was a spot here where she kind of pushed forward on her. Sarah was starting to kind of fade and wilt to the pressure and the volume, and ended up getting a takedown on Sarah. Sarah did not have really much energy left. She worked to the back, ended up getting a submission victory via rear naked choke. So there you have it there. And we're gonna talk about now their first fight. So there's a lot to take in here. I know this fight was only a 2-round fight, but there's a lot to take in such a short championship fight here. So the first thing here is the opening sequence, to me, says a lot about, and we're going to talk a little more about this when I wrap this this fight all up, but the opening sequence, really the first 4 strikes that Amanda Nunes threw, 3 of them were leg kicks. And I think that's a big part of a strategy for her, is kind of working, chipping away at the legs, you know, slowing down, you know, the pace of Pena, wearing down on the legs that will be driving through on these takedowns. And she started doing that, and that opened up some good shots there. She ended up knocking down Pena on one of the leg kicks. She got back up, she dropped her again. I mean, I think there was 2 knockdowns in that first round. And even one of them there where Nunes was kind of, you know, Pena was down, and Nunes kind of played to it a little bit, which was a little interesting. And, you know, Nunes is well-rounded, there's no doubt, but kind of playing into it, kind of standing above her, kicking her a little bit, and then she ended up looking to kind of work from top. And credit to Pena, she ends up getting a very nice, latching in a very nice single leg, and she's deep on it. Now, here's another position here where very, very favorable to Pena, but in this spot, Nunes was able to reverse that takedown attempt, get top control. She ended up getting her back and looking to sink in a choke, submission hunting, working to the back. That first full round, which I think a lot of people I do feel like forgot, was all Nunes. It was all Nunes. I mean, Nunes dropped her a couple times, worked her back, had top control, landing some good damaging shots. It was all Nunes in that first round. Going into that second round, they both were landing, and again, the leg kicks were there for Nunes. She was chipping away, utilizing her jab, landing some good shots. But I think once Pena looked a little bit hurt, she went guns blazing. And that, I think, was the downfall of Nunes in this fight here, where she just went for it, and a lot of girls at that point, they go down. They don't hang around. They get dropped, they get finished. She dictates the pace, utilizes her strength, her pressure, her power, and ends up putting these girls away. And Pena was there. And credit to her, Pena was there taking the shots. And even in these big exchanges, they had some very big exchanges in the middle of that second round where both of them were throwing. And again, another credit to Pena, where in these situations where there's just big exchanges, girls do not win those. And also, they look to kind of change it up, maybe grapple, maybe grab a Nunes, or look for the takedown, not stand and strike. And I think that threw Nunes off. I think that, the jab was landing, she was looking sharp, she wasn't going away, they were both firing, and that slowly started putting Nunes cardio down. Plus, she was throwing everything with 100% power. All of her shots were big shots, while Pena was just a basic 1-2, throwing that jab. I mean, the jab was landing pretty much any time she threw it. The jab was landing. She stayed in the pocket. She was firing big shots. And that's where Nunes continued to slow down. Nunes got hurt in those exchanges, was definitely tiring out, and then ended up getting an easy takedown, got Nunes' back, sinks in the submission finish. There you have it there on that. So with that being said, first thing we got to talk about here is the grappling now. I know we kind of just touched on a little bit there, but obviously there is a big grappling advantage for Pena. Now, I think it's a little bit overstated because people don't really give Nunes the credit that she has, where she is well-rounded. But Pena definitely has slick submission game. She definitely is always looking to hunt, good transitions on the mat. She's always seeking to improve position. She's always, once she latches on, she does not want to give up the position. She wants to be on the ground as much as possible. She can find ways to get to the back. We've seen her do it to Nunes. We've seen her do it to Sarah McMahon. She's very comfortable in that position, utilizing the body lock, keeping those positions there. The success rate for Pena is at 55%, and it is her best path. That is where she's going to really be able to find success against Nunes. But we do forget that Nunes has an 82% takedown defense rate. So, again, it's talked about some of these elite fighters who have taken her down, or, all these things. And I don't really put Pena up in the elite status. But again, she did what she did in that particular fight, but I don't put her at that elite status. So, again, the takedown came late, and she ended up getting the submission later in that fight. But either way, grappling will be an advantage to Pena. There's definitely no doubt about that. Now, on the striking side, it's the other way. I've got Nunes there. I think Nunes with power, tighter combinations, definitely more crisp when it comes to her striking. And, again, the recklessness of the last fight, I think, really played a role into what happened, into the outcome of that fight there. The wild shots, not being very economical with her cardio. But I think the two main the two keys to this fight really is going to be patience for Nunes. And, I know she's always the one to go out there guns blazing because, again, she's so used to nobody really able to handle her. And again, credit to Pena. She took the shot, she kept going, she stayed in her face, brought the fight to Nunes, which a lot of people don't do that. So she was able to do it. But I think the key is patience here. And I think, again, round one, she dominated. People forget about that. She dominated the first round, had opportunities to possibly put her away, but had a great first round. And really, again, if you're talking about the striking part of it, there is no really comparison to kind of the basic kind of striking that Pena has compared to the power, the rangy strikes of Nunes. Now, Nunes isn't this overly technical striker, but she definitely is far superior against Pena when it comes to that. And again, utilizing the cardio and not draining herself to look for that early knockout finish, that is going to be critical for her too. But the other part of this is the leg kicks. I really believe that that was a glimpse into their actual strategy that she kind of abandoned. And early in that fight, it looked like, hey, I'm going to chip away. Nunes, she can definitely mix it up. And I think the legs will absolutely be there because Pena's going to be so worried about the big power coming up top, big combinations, big shots at her head. She's not really going to be as open to, or she will be open to, the leg kicks. She doesn't check them. I think throughout that fight, I don't even think she even attempted to check a leg kick because I really feel that Pena is very tunnel vision with, I got to get to the ground. I got to get to this ground. Again, credit to her. She stood, she banged, and she was able to get the finish. But I think that, again, if Nunes is patient, throws out some solid leg kicks, chips away, I think that if she does not get pulled into just a random brawl, I think that's going to really open it up. And again, as I said it before, the leg kicks will be there. She does not check them, as well as it will slow down Pena's forward pressure, and as well as I think the biggest part is really diminish the ability for Pena to drive through on these takedowns, to really have that base to get these takedowns. And I think that, again, early in the last fight, we saw that, and she kind of abandoned that strategy. I really believe it's going to be there. And the last part is again, talking about Pena's grappling. She definitely is grappling, but there's been some suspect moments in there. I mean, there's definitely been some suspect moments in there over the last three or four opponents. She has had opponents take her back. And for somebody who's such a, touted as a very high-level grappler, a lot of these girls were getting to a good spot against her. And the fact that Germaine de Randamie, who is a kickboxer, choked her out 3 fights ago. So it's not, there is openings there. Sarah McMahon took her back. Again, a good wrestler has strength, and she did defeat her. But the opportunity was there, as well as Nunes. Nunes took her down, got her back. Yes, she lost, but the opportunities and the windows are there. So it's not that if she gets you down, oh, she's just going to, take you down and choke you out. She does find ways. And again, I give credit to Pena of how tough she is. She kept going forward in all of these fights. I mean, a lot of these fights, she's losing early. I mean, pretty much all the ones I talked about, she was losing in the first round, the second round, and came out to win in the third round or the second round. And I just think that the patience, I think that also as well as just the power, the striking, the leg kicks, I think this really puts Amanda Nunes in a great spot to get the victory here. So I am taking Amanda Nunes, but I am not giving that out as a play. I am giving Amanda Nunes via inside the distance, -120, I think is a great price. Amanda Nunes inside the distance, I think that she's going to be patient early, but I think she's just going to accumulate a lot of damage on Pena over the course of the fight. She's going to keep landing big shots. So I do like Amanda Nunes via inside the distance, -120 as my free play. Another free play I'm going to talk about here is Matt Selmisberger versus Alex Morono. We got Selmisberger, he's -160. We've got Morono, he is +140 about. Gonna give this one out quickly here. The first thing here is I am really low on Alex Morono in general. His overall ability, I mean, I know he's on a 3-fight winning streak, and that kind of seems to be the reason why this line's a little bit closer, I believe, than it should be. But if you look over who he's beat, I mean, he knocked out Donald Cerrone. That's nothing exciting anymore. At that time, it looked pretty good. He had a nice victory over him. It looked pretty good. That to me, started to, hey, look, maybe Morono is a pretty good fighter. Then he fought David Zawada. Listen, Zawada, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but he's just a terrible fighter. He's 1-4 out of his last 5, and Morono beat him, and then he beat Mickey Gall, who's 1-3 out of his last 4. And the issue here for me is, although Morono won the fight, he had some very close moments, competitive moments with Mickey Gall. And Mickey Gall, to me, again, is another very low-level fighter, very basic. It's kind of a fight that kind of works for Morono. And, also the fact of, Morono's overall ability or lack thereof, limited striking. His striking is very basic. He keeps his head up a lot. He just kind of fires. He utilizes a lot of pressure, which does work for him, pushing volume. And guys like Cerrone, who want to have the space, who have an iffy chin, it's a great matchup for Morono. But I just don't think that works against Semelsberger. I don't think it works against Semelsberger. Has big power. He's a big guy for the division. And the fact that Morono, in a lot of spots, is willing to just stand and bang. He's willing to stand, fight, exchange. That to me is a recipe for absolute destruction for Morono. I don't think that he's going to be able to take these big shots. The way that he leaves his head up there, he's very hittable, not defensively aware pretty much at all when he's striking. Leaves his head in the center line, limited upside in finishing ability. I don't really see him being able to put Semelsberger away. I don't think that's a path for him. It's definitely a path for Semelsberger. His athleticism is, I would say, below par. He's not explosive by any means, and his technique is very sloppy. Where Semelsberger, he can push the pace. He's big for the division, has the strength advantage as well. And I think, honestly, he's gonna land big shots early in this fight, which is gonna either put Morono away, or he's going to be able to accumulate a lot of damage over the 3 rounds. And I think the 3-inch reach advantage for Semelsberger as well is going to help him massively here. So I like Matt Semelsberger as my other free play as -160. Matt Semelsberger, that's my other play. So there you have it for UFC 277 this Saturday. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. And let's see how we do. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.